welcome to our first writer's reviews and our first book, The School of Villamor van Vaughan. It explores the often tricky subject of anger through rhyme.
All of the rage, the gruff and the puff is bursting out loud to protect other stuff.
For anger is useful and does have its place, but if it's hurting others, you should find other ways.
It says it all, doesn't it?
It does. I decided to go for that as the hook. That's the hook. Yeah, it's the idea that anger is telling us something important and we should listen to it.
Yeah. I think it has always been like that, but right now, everyone knows we're like in some troubled times and there is a lot of anger around and a lot of hate.
I think anger is a much maligned emotion. In the therapy room, it's the emotion that people say, it's just completely unhelpful. What's the value in it? Here, Joanna is showing us that it does have value. And I think actually, for me, top of that list is that, it tells us when something's wrong.
Yes, this is so true. And the most important thing is not to suppress your anger, but to feel it. First of all, acknowledge it. Okay, I am angry. Where do I feel it in my body? How does it feel? What does it do to me? And maybe also, if you're ready for it, to dig a bit deeper. When have I felt like that before? I don't think the why is the most important thing about it. I think the how do I feel and do I want to feel this way and does it help me to feel this way in the situation? But first of all, you have to feel it, to consciously feel it, and that might be difficult, but it's worth it, I think, because this way you can, without suppressing it, you can process this emotion and turn it into something, into solutions that actually help the situation and make it better instead of making others feel bad and yourself bad.
Absolutely. The sort of willingness to stay with that feeling.
Definitely. The difficult thing is when you're angry and you think only about the why, you get upset about, let's say, a person. It's usually a person, isn't it? So you get upset about the person and you make this person the topic of your anger, but it's not the person. It's your ideas of certain situations that cause this emotion. So most probably you will find you have been angry a lot of times before this. In the book, we have those different stories of the kids who have different reasons for their anger. A lot of different reasons why you can be angry. And yes, this is important, but however, don't make the mistake to blame the other person for your anger. That's why I think the why isn't the most important thing about the whole situation, but first of all, be aware of your anger.
Yeah. And then the exploration, the curiosity about that, what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What is going on for me in this moment? Because there can be many different explanations to anger. I can see where you're coming from completely. We can get caught up in cycles of blame. But sometimes our anger is something that's worth listening to because it's accurate in telling us that something's unfair, that something is wrong, that something needs to change. And it can give us the energy to do that. Who was it? Victor the Vampire, I think. Yeah, who took Penny the Pumpkin sweets.
Oh, yes.
Actually, that was wrong.
Yes.
And her anger was telling her, actually, it's not okay for somebody else to take your stuff.
Yeah.
It gave her the energy to put a boundary in place and say, okay, if you don't do it again, we can still be friends, but this must never happen again.
Yeah.
So sometimes that anger is rooted in the here and now, and it can be very real. Whereas I think what you're talking about, which is also equally important, is that sometimes it's not rooted in the here and now. Actually, it can be related to something in our past.
Yeah. And I guess this shows how vast the topic of anger actually is, because there are so many reasons for it. When you act on the impulse of anger, it hardly ever leads to a proper solution. Only if you are aware of your anger and as you said, you have to differentiate. Is there a situation that is actually unfair towards me and I want to do something about it? It's important to find that out and then act from this place. But that goes back to the awareness of, is it something that's unfair or is it something that, was triggered for me from my own past?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It goes back, isn't it, to that exploration, that curiosity,
Definitely.
and being with the feeling.
I have another thing actually about anger. There are two sides of anger, the one you feel and the one you see in others. And when someone is angry, I'm having great difficulties dealing with this.
Joanna covers some of that in the book. In some situations, if you talk to people about their anger, sometimes you can start to understand what's at the root of it, what's causing it. I think that's really hard to do because by its very nature, anger pushes other people away. So
True.
it's hard to come towards them and speak to them.
Yeah.
And so we do have a tendency, I think, particularly here. I wonder, I shouldn't think our cultures are that different, but it's interesting, nevertheless, certainly here to shut down anger. Just don't feel angry, just shut it down, don't express it, rather than sort of try and understand it or explore it.
I'm having troubles with this too. And only recently I've come to the conclusion that I have to, or I want to, I don't have to anything, but I want to give others their space to feel and express the anger they're feeling, and I'm not making them suppress their anger. So I try to find ways to deal with other people's anger so they can deal with it themselves much better without suppressing it. I'm learning this. I'm not very good at it because it intimidates me. And as you said, it's there to push others away. And I'm very prone to that kind of, pushing away. But I think that's a very important aspect of anger too. That, of course, you have to give yourself space to feel it, but also you have to give others the space to feel it.
And particularly, I think when it comes to, kids, actually engaging with it can be so helpful. Allowing space for it, helping them to explore it, validating it even.
When do you feel angry? That's a good question, isn't it?
It is. I don't often feel that angry, if you know what I mean. I do feel anger in response to what I perceive as injustices. What about you?
Same thing when I see injustice. It's difficult for me, but for me, it's also easy to not let my anger speak, but I always try to choose the words that are not stirring up bad emotions, but to reflect on them. That's what I'm trying to do. I really have to think of how do I express what I'm feeling. I have a lot of big emotions. I'm a very emotional person, but I also love handling my emotions with, I call them post-it notes, like I analytically. But it does take work. So that's one thing. But also, what makes me angry just for a short while is when there are loud noises outside. Like someone mowing their grass or those leaf blowers, whatever, that upsets me, but only for a short while. And I know they're just doing their jobs. That's when I reflect on it. I reflect on why am I angry? Yeah, of course it's loud, and loud noise you can't do anything about. So I have to sit with that emotion. But I'm trying to sit with it and reflect on it, and then I always come to the conclusion they're just doing their job. So yeah. They're not doing that to annoy me. So
Yeah. It's not personal.
exactly. So this is my favorite picture of the book
It's
because
beautiful.
this little girl is the mermaid from Joanna's other book, Love is the Gift, which is a beautiful book as well.